Now we will get some headlines for the 4 o'clock hour. We're at Twin Peaks in Davie, University Drive. Final show of the football season. We'll be back out here sporadically.
Yeah, we'll be back.
All right,
black.
We'll be black out here. And periodically.
It's just me and OG?
Before the next, just you, OG, and Jermaine Dupree.
He ain't invited looking like that.
We'll be back out here periodically, and then all of a sudden it'll be the next football season before you even know it.
I can't wait.
But we're at Twin Peaks here till 6 o'clock, University Drive in Davie. Let's get 4 o'clock headlines here with Alejandro Solana.
Driven by the new Palmetto Ford Truck Supercenter. Why buy your truck at a car store? Palmetto Ford, we know trucks. I wanted to revisit something Appel was saying when talking about Mahomes and his dominance. How this year, probably the worst roster he's had in any of his Super Bowl winning seasons. And this tweet yesterday for me kind of summed it up perfectly with just how unbelievable this run was from Mahomes. It came from somebody on Twitter, Warren Sharp, at Sharp Football. He said, the scariest part about the Super Bowl, this was supposed to be the year to knock off the Chiefs. Mahomes was the most expensive cap hit in the NFL, $37 million. His offensive line, as Appel mentioned, weakened. His wide receiver one, a rookie. They were forced to play 6 straight games at a rest disadvantage, weeks 12 through 17. The only time a team had to do that in NFL history. They played in Germany, didn't have a first-round bye. They had to play on the road in the divisional round as an underdog. They had to play on the road in the conference championship round as an underdog. And they were the underdogs in the Super Bowl. Toughest path to a Super Bowl based on strength of opponent faced ever. And they still won the Super Bowl.
That's what I said, all last week, like, you want to talk about GOAT and Brady, and you've already seen enough from Mahomes. And I kept saying, you know what? If you win this Super Bowl after having gone through Buffalo on the road, Baltimore on the road, and then you go into the Super Bowl as an underdog and win, like, then I'll have that conversation. And he did it. Like, you can't, like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I look at the league now and I go, okay, until that guy shows me that he can't do it, I don't care who's surrounding him, he's going to do it.
And this is why I say, like, why when I talk about Brady, Mahomes, is why I talk about arm talent and the ability to play the quarterback position, why Patrick is on top. The same thing people are saying about Patrick Mahomes this year is what they said about Brady. Jabbar Gaffney was his best receiver some years.
David Patton.
Troy Brown, David Patton. People like that were his best receivers. He had Gronk, though. So Mahomes has Kelsey. He had Gronk, and that's all they needed. You put garbage around him. I would say the most impressive thing about this run, even on the other side, Chris Jones is the best defensive interior guy in the world. Darius Sneed, like, they have all pros all on that team. The offensive line that Patrick is playing behind that's most impressive to me because they don't have, you brought it up earlier, they don't have no great players protecting him. He just makes it work with his feet and extending those plays. But it's a criticism that they did Brady a long time. Where's his weapons? Hell, he's going to throw it to somebody. Let's get a big old white dude that can jump real high in the air.
Well, you pair that up with the guy implementing the scheme in Andy Reid, who's one of the best play callers and guys who've designed an offense in the history of the NFL. And like that Andy Reid Mahomes combo is clearly lethal.
And like unstoppable force.
And just like I always think back to when they drafted him and what they were like. They had Alex Smith and they were 10, 11 wins every year. They were in the playoffs every year. They made Mahomes sit for a year behind Alex Smith. And now this. It is one of the more, man, like they are the team of the 2018 to now.
A topic on First Take this morning, it was like, who's closer to claiming the title of the GOAT? Mahomes to Brady or LeBron to MJ?
Oh, what are y'all? I'm thinking of big picture. Me personally, Mahomes is better than Tom Brady.
Better than Tom Brady.
He's better than Tom Brady.
But is he the GOAT? See, they were going into the weeds on that on ESPN. They were going, well, wait a second. I believe he's the more talented quarterback, and he is by far the best quarterback in the league right now. But until he's got 5 rings, 6 rings, I don't want to hear about him being the GOAT.
So we're ring counting. I ask people this all the time.
Well,
We
no,
wanna
long
ring
but
count,
when things are
seasons,
even.
and how many rings did Brady win?
Seven.
6, 7?
So why? What's the big goofy knock-knee dude that has 12 rings? Bill Russell.
Well, I mean, Bill Russell. I mean,
I'm just saying, like,
He was
that's
10
what-
feet taller than everybody else.
but when people start to, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had 100 points, and all, you look at his number, like
was
when-
Wilt.
Wilt Chamberlain. When people start talking about, hey, so compare him, he's better. He can be better because he doesn't have 5 rings.
No.
Okay, so let's ring count.
No.
When things
they're-
are equal and they're as talented as they are, well, you got to have something
that's the thing.
to separate them. And I would also say,
You can't just say, hey, this guy's that much better, but he's got more rings, because you could do that with Robert Horry.
Yeah.
But when you see greatness, Tom Brady is probably the greatest quarterback that we've ever seen up until Mahomes.
Yes.
So now he's also got 7 rings.
But here's the thing, though. We've seen these two quarterbacks match up in a Super Bowl against each other. And it wasn't Brady on the Patriots. It was Brady on the Buccaneers. And Brady and the Bucs beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So, and that was his 7th ring.
And even in that Super Bowl, the more dominant quarterback play was Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady threw a couple of checkdowns.
I don't even necessarily disagree with you, but good luck winning that argument.
Right. I mean, now we're going to do, he beat him in the Super Bowl, but
and I can't
Mahomes
even think
played better. I mean,
who did Brad Johnson play when Tampa won? Who did
Rich
Trent
Gannon.
Dilfer
yeah,
play?
but one
Like
ring.
that
That's one
person-
ring.
No, but I'm saying, so it's like that's the whole GOAT thing. The GOAT. So it has to do with team success, it has to do with longevity, like you said, and it has to do with the number of championships.
Well, also greatness. You're forgetting the one. You're forgetting, like, are you
Greatest
arguing?
of all time.
Are you arguing that Tom Brady, take Mahomes out of it?
Yes.
Are you arguing that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback in NFL history?
No.
All right.
If
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
but it
but I'm
sounds like
saying-
his
but-
criteria is different.
That's
than-
what, but the criteria, you can argue for anything. I can say, take the rings out of it, like Dan Marino, Joe Montana, and those guys. They were amazing
Yes.
quarterbacks,
You're correct.
but they don't have as many rings as Tom Brady.
Correct.
But if they were on the Tom Brady teams, they might have more rings. Put Patrick
But
Mahomes.
we just talked about Tom Brady not having
Like-
anything around him other than Gronk.
I know, but it's like there's so much criteria. I think, honestly, me personally, I know why we do the GOAT conversation, but you can move the bar so far on that any way that kind of builds your narrative.
I think you know the greatest when you see the greatest. Like
Yes.
I don't think you can create criteria. Like, listen, Dan Marino is one of the greats, but I don't think you could ever make the case that he's the greatest quarterback in NFL history, because he is lacking one key component: a ring.
What's the number of rings? Not for you, Channing, because you staked your claim that Mahomes is already better. But like, generally speaking, what do you think is the number that Mahomes has to get to pass?
Well,
quote,
I
unquote,
think
Brady?
he's kind of there.
So
I
do
think
I.
at
So do
3
I.
this early on, like, he's there. I'm not arguing it.
But he's
anymore.
pretty much doing the Brady thing where he's just pencil him into the AFC Championship game at minimum every single year.
There is some breaking
and
news. Hold on, Solana. Let me just share this breaking news. Do you have a sounder? You saw this over the weekend on social media. This may not come as a huge shock, but it is official now. We always let the bet play all the way out. We paid for it.
This is the second the Brave.
Right. That's right. Reba. That little cutesy.
Run it back.
Larsa Pippen and Marcus Jordan have called it quits.
Wow.
They have broken up after about a year
Shocked.
of dating. I don't know if you saw yesterday, she had scrubbed every picture of him off her Instagram account and stopped following him.
It's crazy that didn't work out.
It is official now. No one saw this coming, because I think a lot of people thought this was true love, like the kind of love that comes around once in a lifetime.
I may have to reconsider what I think is the definition of, like, I have to go home and talk to my wife. Like, this is
right, because you thought this would last forever.
Yeah, if that's not going to last.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying, Solana?
I want him to have a baby and name him Michael.
Scotty. They should have named him
Phil.
Scotty.
Phil.
This is Michael Jordan.
I was kind of invested in their
That's his son.
relationship, you know? I mean, this comes as a huge blow to me.
Can't believe it went that long.
Yeah.
I really can't. Like, I thought it was a little cutesy at the beginning. Hey, they're both getting some pub.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they're on like interview shows talking about, this love that they have.
I thought it was a bit.
And
I didn't think it was
at the
real.
beginning, it was a bit.
Yeah.
I thought. and then they actually seem to love each other, but it is over.
I believe we called this.
Mm.
I was kind of mad about it, saying it's silly, and you were like, "Come on now, this isn't gonna last." And then
It didn't.
but profits.
I think when you're looking at the GOAT debate, are you talking about the greatest individual player in their respective sport, or are we talking about legacy? Because if you are doing legacy, then yeah, Tom Brady is the GOAT. That's inarguable. And Michael Jordan, his legacy is cemented as the GOAT because 6 NBA Finals appearances, 6 rings, 2 back-to-back-to-back title runs with, him not playing in between. Like, nobody's going to be able to top that, or at least we don't think they are. But when you're just talking about, it's the same reason I think Patrick Mahomes, Crowder, I'm with you. You just look at him, and he can't surpass Brady's legacy yet because he hasn't played that long yet. But when you just look at the individual player, it's the same thing I do with LeBron and Jordan. Who's the better overall talent? The same reason you think Patrick Mahomes has already beaten Tom Brady in that category, in that discussion, is the same reason I think LeBron James beats Michael Jordan in that discussion alone. But when you talk about legacy, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. LeBron can't pass that. He's lost too many NBA Finals. And the same goes for Patrick Mahomes. Until he passes that number of rings, he can't have a better legacy than Tom Brady.
That was as cogent a point as Alejandro Solana has ever made on this show. The way he laid it out, the way that that was as cogent as anything he's ever said, up until the point where he says LeBron is more talented than MJ, and then everything got wiped out.
He is.
We haven't learned after this long. He got that from somebody else.
Who'd you get that from?
Who did you get? You steal jokes from SNL. You got that point from somebody because it really made
that was really sense. Like that was laid out perfectly. There wasn't a stumble, a mumble. Like it was.
There was a stumble. There.
I don't think there was.
NBA championship is in the NBA final. I wasn't going to say anything, but
that was really good. But
it wasn't perfect.
He just happens to be wrong about MJ and LeBron.
I'm not.
Who you steal that from?
Man, I opened up the post-game show after the Celtics game. I think Jimmy cut the audio, you rat bastard. But I opened up the show. Tommy asked me a question. I'll get the audio for you, Hawk. And I go, well, Hawk.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy texted me. He goes, Solana just called Tommy Tige Hawk. Tommy Tige's head must have exploded.
You were probably honored to the highest degree.
I was honored to the highest degree, and he was insulted to the highest degree. That is so great. Did you acknowledge it immediately?
Of course.
Did you just barrel ahead?
No, immediately. And I think I'm rubbing off on Tommy just a tiny little bit because he will just barrel through anything, right? But he even, acknowledged, like, Hawk, this isn't 2 to 6 on WQAM local. Yeah. But seriously, like, how can you not look at Tom Brady and say, okay, he had his limitations, wasn't mobile, but his arm was maybe the most accurate we've ever seen, and he won all the big moments. You look at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, look at that drive yesterday. That's what he needed to say, hey, he can do it in the absolute biggest moment with the ball in his hands. He didn't need anybody else. He got that 4th and 1 himself.
What was MJ's shortcoming, though? MJ didn't have a shortcoming.
He only had, again, I'm not discrediting this as a bad thing. 6 NBA Finals appearances is insane, but he only had 6 NBA Finals appearances. LeBron James had a span where he went to 8 straight finals. He lost most of them.
MJ was doing it before Deep State took over.
Okay.
It's all scripted now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys I don't know if you guys are blind to what's going on.
In the GOAT conversation, you could bring up Deep State and you can make a valid point.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, it is
because it's all like
broad.
Yeah.
Here's what I know.
It's nebulous
about the Brady Mahomes debate. Okay. Tom Brady, Channing Crowder, 1 interception of Brady. Patrick Mahomes, Channing Crowder, 0 interceptions of Mahomes.
Already had that take.
Is that
Did you?
Is that a positive on Brady or Mahomes? Like
what's going to get me into less trouble with Crowder? And that'll be my answer.
I'm not so certain.
I don't know.